41 fatalities and hundreds of displacements. For more on what's happening in that region, we're joined from Gweru in Zimbabwe by independent journalist Wellington Muzengeza. Wellington, a very good evening to you. It's devastating news in Southern Africa, but I believe of the three countries, Zimbabwe seems to have paid the brunt of it all. What can you tell us about the recent damage and what meteorologists there are saying about the causes of the heavy floods?
Thank you so much, Tsebiso, for having me tonight once again. Oh yeah, it's been a devastating week in Zimbabwe. We've seen 74 people dead today. To date, it's a very unfortunate time. The rains, which are supposed to come with fortune, are actually bringing death. We've seen over 1,000 homes destroyed and over 10,000 people displaced because of these floods. And the focus are that from tomorrow, the 20th, until the 24th here in Zimbabwe, we're expecting heavier rains as well. So it's actually a terrible time for Zimbabwe at the moment, especially looking at we're at the peak of the rain seasons, which means we should be preparing for harvest in the next 2 months or so. But then we're seeing roads, bridges, and other economic infrastructure being cast away or being destroyed by these floods. It's a very unfortunate time.
And Manicaland itself barely fully recovering from the devastation of Cyclone Idai in 2019. So just how far were those recovery projects, and are there early warning systems given what is happening now?
Well, you're right. It's barely 10 years. It has not even been long since Cyclone Idai, and Cyclone Idai had even more devastating effects. And whatever early warning systems that had been placed, if they were there at all, have not been effective. Clearly, because we have seen in Manicaland 41 people dead to date. And there are specific cities or areas like Mutare and Chimanimani and Chipinge, which saw severe flooding and the bridges washed away and rural roads have become impassable. But this Manicaland is the hardest city. We have also had other provinces like Mashonaland West, where we've had 19 fatalities that have been reported, and areas around Chinoi and Kariba experiencing regular flash floods, damaging homes and cutting off access to clinics and also schools. And here in Zimbabwe this week, schools opened just this last week. So you can imagine what is happening. And then in the Midlands, where I am based now in Gweru, 13 deaths have been recorded with flooding, specifically in this city, Gweru, which is the third largest city in Zimbabwe, and Kwekwe, which is the fourth largest city in Zimbabwe, which have had disrupted transport and destroyed sections of the main Harare-Bulawayo road. All right, or the highway. Then we've had cases in Mashonaland East, Mashonaland Central, and West, where there's also been significant destruction. Pretty much the whole of Zimbabwe has not been spared with these by these rains. They are both a curse and a blessing at the same time. But at this point, it's more of a curse than a blessing.
And if you could just describe, the environment, the topography of where you are, Wellington in Gweru, to just give a sense to our viewers, our listeners, on when these people are facing these floods, what access is like, how quickly are they able to flee, if at all, and also the some of the infrastructure that you've described that has been decimated as a result. How difficult did they make people's escape?
Oh yes, I'm reporting from Gweru, which is the third largest city in Zimbabwe. It's right in the middle, in the Midlands, which is in the middle of Zimbabwe. Gweru is pretty much a higher area relative to other places. Manicaland is in the eastern highlands of the country, but the eastern sides of the country, they're actually highlands. But the problem with Manicaland is that it's closer to the coast as you go towards Mozambique, and most of these emanate off the coast of Mozambique in the Indian Ocean. through these cyclones that have become regular features of our of here in Southern Africa. So in Zimbabwe, pretty much when the rains come, they are not as severe as they are when you come from the coastal areas. So you may realize that what you have been experiencing in South Africa and what we experience here is a relatively better, but the devastating effects are pretty much the same. It's just that like in Mpumalanga in South Africa have borne the full brunt of the cyclones, you see. But pretty much people here in the rural areas, it's always harder because of the rivers and also the quality of the infrastructure that we've had in the last 25 years in Zimbabwe has not been exceptional. So you find that it's easy for those roads to be destroyed in rural areas. That is why you find areas like Chinoi, Chimanimani, some parts of Chipinge, those areas in Manicaland, they've had they've borne the worst part of these rains.
Wellington, so just give us a sense of the quality of the homesteads, not only those that were destroyed, but just in terms of under government's national multi-hazard contingency plan, which was activated in December 2025. What improvements were made, and if those survived at all?
Well, I do not want to comment on something that I'm not fully aware of, but here in Zimbabwe, pretty much in the rural areas, we've got a mix of both good housings and mud huts, the traditional Rondaville type huts of housing. So I do not want to comment on what I do not have enough information on.
Okay, so then just tell us about the evacuation plans that are being made and what temporary housing is being put up.
So far, there's not been any temporary housing that I've seen. Pretty much, except rudimentary places where people are being taken. But you cannot probably tents. But we don't have much in terms of safety nets or temporary shelters that have been put in place, except in Manicaland. But in other provinces, I've not seen that.
And as you mentioned earlier on, there has been warnings of worse weather in the offing. At least, is anything being said, being done in evacuation plans? How is life going to be preserved?
Well, what we have seen is we have seen a lot of information circulating on WhatsApp platforms where citizens are discussing, and uh, there's an official document that seems to have emanated from the government that is actually informing people to go to higher areas, keep safe, and exercise some precaution. But otherwise, other than those WhatsApp messages that I've been seeing and platforms that I'm involved in, I have not seen much.
Well, Wellington, as always, thank you so much for your insights. Wellington Muzengeza is an independent journalist speaking to us from Gweru in Zimbabwe, where, as he mentioned, is the largest, well, the third largest city in Zimbabwe, but also one of those areas that have